Hello, hello. Just gonna do a quick mic check. Hey, Vanessa. Good afternoon. All right, I think everything sounds okay. So let me just get my table in place and I'll be good to go. Vanessa says mic is good. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Alrighty. Oh, this why it looks all washed out. There we go. All right. So today, hopefully, um, it might be a little difficult to see, unfortunately, but it's a high key painting, so it's very, very light. But yeah. Um, all right. Let's see. Actually, I can. To me, it looks pretty accurate to what it looks like on screen to um, what's it called? Real life. So yeah, it's all about like really light painting. Um, I can give you all a bit of a sneak peek. I just did this one, which is also high key, but not quite as bright as the one I'm currently working on. So yeah, that's it's all part of the theme for this coming week. Um, as you can tell, maybe tell, I'm a little behind, so we'll see how it goes. Yeah. A little behind on the videos, but yeah. Oh, thanks, Vanessa. I'm glad you like it. At some point, I might have to slip a white piece of paper underneath my palette so that everything is white. Because right now, I think it's actually making it a little difficult, it being a brown palette like back. So we'll see. It might be worth doing. Actually, it might be worth just doing that now. I don't know why I'd wait necessarily. So a lot of times artists recommend not having a white palette because it throws off your values, and there's truth to that. If your palette's white and you're working on something dark, it is very hard to gauge your values from the palette to the painting and so on. But in this case, everything's so light, having the white background I think will actually help. It's very interesting. Oh, 1 second, almost forgot. I was going to set up my phone. Um, right, where was I? Okay, oh, I would, that's right. Sorry, it took me a second. My brain is fried today. I'll do my best. I am so out of it. But I was going to say, working this light, I've run into a ton of issues that I normally don't have issues with. Like, I can't, like, even just drawing stuff. Like, if I want to go in now and draw in the figure and draw in everything, you see all these yellow marks are here because I was using yellow to draw. I don't normally use yellow to draw because it's not a very good color for that. It's not very strong. But it's everything's so light. If I went in with my what's it called, quinacridone rose, it would be so dark in comparison, um, and it would throw everything off. But yeah, the range is getting very, very, very tight, and it's introducing all kinds of issues, which I knew it would. Don't, this isn't a surprise. I've done high key paintings before. But yeah, it's interesting. And that's actually some of the things I'm planning on talking about this week. Um, you know, as as I go through things. In fact, Vanessa, if I'm not mistaken, uh, unless I'm getting my names completely wrong, you're part of the inspiration for how I'm approaching this week. So I want to say thank you. Hopefully it'll pan out well. But yeah, Vanessa says white is really useful in that case. The other tone wasn't the middle value, but darker than the darkest tone. Yeah, yes. So you can kind of see it up here just a little bit. This light gray, this very light gray here, is my darkest dark in this painting. So, in theory, if I can do it properly, that's going to be my darkest dark in this painting. So yeah. So yeah, I'm going to try and do some drawing right now to get everything in place, because some things are a little off in their positioning, and then I will go in and start blocking in everything I can. But yeah, I don't want to give away everything in the live stream about the upcoming week. And like I said, I am very, very behind. So there is a chance that this week the 5 videos will end up being, 3 or 4. I don't know what to say, but I am working like an insane person to try and get it done in time. But I might hit a wall, and nothing I can do about that. If it's too much, it's too much. But everything's getting faster and more smooth, more streamlined and everything, but still, there might be a wall. Hey, Steve, welcome. Hi, Liad. Where do you get your ABS panels? Um, I get my ABS panels from, um, it's a plastic manufacturer. Like they sell plastic and, well, actually, yeah, they don't manufacture it. They just sell it. They like resell it. Um, Places that sell like signs and panels for, materials for signage and displays and like stuff like that. It's kind of an industrial thing. I buy it in uh, 4 by 8 feet sheets, although I have them cut it down to, I have them cut it down just enough so that I can get it in the car, and then I do the rest of the cutting myself because when they cut it, they use, I'm assuming, a table saw or a circular saw or something like that, and it eats about 1/4 inch out of the pan, maybe not 1/4, 1/8 of an inch out of the panel, something like that. Um, and when I cut it, I use a razor, like a not a straight razor, sorry, box cutter or a like a heavy duty box cutter, and and then I snap it, and it doesn't really eat out any of it. So yeah. Um, Vanessa says, "Oh wow, it will be really high key." Yes, it is a very high key painting, and it isn't even the high key painting, the highest key painting I'm planning. So I'm giving away a lot, but yeah, the idea is for it to the value level is going to rise every day, basically throughout the 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 week's videos. That's the idea. I guess I'm just giving it all away now. This one is the darkest one, to be clear. This one right here is the darkest one of them all. And then it just gets lighter from there. Vanessa says, and I'm glad if I can inspire some concept. Yeah, well, you inspired, so someone else inspired the overall concept because I'd been talking to them about art I'd done previously, um, and so on. But the formatting of it and how I'm approaching it was definitely inspired by you because of our conversation around YouTube and everything. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see. By the way, Steve, how are you doing? I don't think I asked, but how are you? How have you been? And Vanessa, if I didn't ask, how are you? I try to ask everybody, but my brain sometimes don't work very well. Especially today, I feel so out of it. But I can feel I'm kind of coming around slowly. But yeah, very, very high key paintings. The last one, I'll be honest, I don't even know how the camera is going to capture the last painting. Like I'm a little nervous about that. So we'll see. Steve says, fine, thanks. Happy New Year's. Happy New Year's to you too. But yeah, I have I don't own it anymore. I actually sold one of my favorite paintings that I ever painted. I sold. Luckily, it's to a friend, so I can actually go see it again. And at some point, I think I will because I need to get a better photo of it because I now have a better camera. So I think I will see if I can go check it out or go take a good better photo of it. But one of my favorite paintings that I sold is very very high key. Um, it's so it's like I'm trying to remember, like the value range in it is ridiculously tight because it's like if I'm doing, if I have yeah, so I have the little like gray card. I think the value range was like from here to here, something like that. It was crazy. Um, but it was one of my favorite paintings. It's just so dreamy and ethereal. It comes up in the carousel of images. Sometimes it's this woman in a field, and it's just it's so like it's so high key that when I entered it into a competition online for I entered it into a competition, painting competition. Um, I entered it under figurative because it is a painting of a person standing in a field. They moved it to the abstract. Uh, what's it called? Side of things. So yeah, I have another painting that's similar, but I can't find it right now. But yeah, so I've done high key paintings before. So, but I really enjoy them. So the idea is to, do more of them for this week and talk about it and so on. Hey Heather, how you doing? Good to see you. Don Lee. What person? Good to see you, Don Lee. How you doing? Yeah. No, there's a painting that I if you're talking about the painting of the woman in the field, I like I said, I don't have it, but it does show up in the rotation, and it yeah, it was really funny that they moved it from the figurative to the abstract what's it called? Entries or whatever. Heather doing good? Good. So yeah, I'm using the pink because what's it called? I like quinacridone rose is just too dark. Vanessa says it's a great way to flex your skills. Oh, absolutely. I paint when you push it to that extreme, it's you definitely are like testing your skills and pushing them to their limits. And with all in all honesty, you don't always pull it off. Of course. So fingers crossed. But uh, it is it's a lot of fun. I I like these paintings. I've done them in light. I've done them dark. Like it doesn't have to be just high key paintings, but I have a lot of paintings where um, they really don't look that good online, honestly, because they're so the range on them, the value range or the color range or whatever is so unbelievably tight that the camera doesn't do a good job of picking it up. And even in person, some of them you don't see them very well. What's it called? I did a few paintings inspired by Nicholas Uribe's. He did these paintings where the idea was to paint it all in one value. So you have to make a painting without values, essentially. And they're actually running on the screen at the very moment. And I wasn't perfect. Like, it's not 100% a single value, but it's very, very close. But they look so much better in person. But they mess with your eyes in person a little bit. Like, you're looking at them and it's got this, like, they're there and not there kind of quality to it. I personally love that because it makes them, I don't know, it's more, to me, I find it more interesting than just, like the quote unquote normal paintings. But at the same time, it's not something that I want to see all the time or paint all the time. So it's not like, oh, this is all my paintings are going to be like this. But I do really love doing those paintings. Donley says, doing good, man. Hope you're doing well. I am doing well. I'm doing well, except for, I'm a little, I'm a little stressed out at the moment. There is that. But, fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. I'm just behind like all the time, which I knew would be part of this. I knew trying to do a video, I knew trying to do a video, 5 videos a week would be not an easy task. So it's not a surprise. Vanessa says camera flattened them out. Camera does flatten them out, yeah, cameras. Look, obviously love cameras, but for art, nothing beats just the real thing. There's no doubt about that. But it's a good second place. Cameras, what can I say? For anyone who doesn't know, Nicholas Uribe, I've talked about him a lot because he's a big influence artistically. He's a big influence. And, honestly, he's a really, really nice guy, really sweet. Him and Danny, his wife, are a great team. And, they're really sweet, really cool people. I really like them. I've watched and interacted with both of them quite a lot, that I feel comfortable saying things like that. Like, they're really, they don't just put up the facade of being nice. They're really cool people, really, just really cool people. And also Nicholas Uribe is a really great artist. And they're starting their Patreon on Monday. And I don't know how long I will be able to afford being a consistent Patreon of theirs, but I do plan on signing up for it. It is $10 a month, and they have a book, a digital. This is how this came up. They have a digital book, a PDF, for signing up. So I highly recommend anyone who likes Nicholas Uribe's art to check out their Patreon, Our Painted Lives. I don't know what their Patreon is called. It's like, it's something with Our Painted Lives, but their website is ourpaintedlives.com. And the reason I mention it is because I bought their PDF books before, and they're great. Really high quality. This is where it's all coming back to. It's really high quality books. digital books. It's not as good as holding the real thing in your hand, but it's a good second best. Or so that's where that all came from. But yeah, so if you like art and you like it, check out our Nicholas Uribe online on Instagram and sign up for their Patreon to get that book. I know I will be doing that. So just thought I'd mention that. And if you know, if anyone's like, "Oh, I can only afford one of your paintings," or to sign up for their Patreon, even though the prices are completely off, I will totally give you a $10 discount on a painting if you sign up for their Patreon. If that's the calculations you're doing. I'm joking because no, that would never be a real thing, but I'll totally do it. If that's the calculation, reach out to me and I'll totally make that happen. So yeah, trying to think. I went to sleep at like 5 a.m. I think it was last night. Working on this painting. The other painting I showed earlier, I started and finished yesterday, and then I started this one yesterday as well. So that's been kind of the schedule lately. So yeah, but other than that, the video editing has been learning a lot on that front. And oh, shout out to Vanessa. Second shout out to Vanessa for sharing on the Discord and trying a new palette. I just want to say that's awesome. I appreciate people who share. If I'm doing shout outs for people who share, June is of course I think MVP because she paints so much. So shout out to June, who I owe a painting to, and I do apologize for not having it done yet, June. Or no, the painting's done. I'm not shipping it yet, but this week or next week. Fingers crossed. I'm not going to promise, but I'm going to say fingers crossed. It's the best I can offer at the moment. One second, let me make sure everything's in focus. There we go. Okay. So, anyways, but yeah, it was nice. Nicholas Uribe did a live stream for the first time in like a year, which was cool. It was good to see them again. Nessa says if someone want to try the Zorn palette, get Cad Red Light or something close. Yeah, the color you're using wasn't the like, you know, traditional one. I mean, your ochre wasn't either, so you're not really doing the Zorn palette. You're doing a limited palette. Nothing wrong with it. I think your palette. There's nothing wrong with your palette to try. I've you can do a painting with a limited palette of any type. I did a painting. One of my favorite paintings is Quinacridone Rose, Phthalo Emerald, or phthalo green yellow shade and white. That's it. But because the two of them mix together to make a black, it's kind of like having a black, white, and then the red and green. And it works really, really well together. So you can do a great painting. You can do a good painting regardless of the colors, honestly. However, some colors make life easier than others, for sure. But yeah, Zorn palette, I did my first Zorn palette this year, I think it was, for a class. I don't, I did pay for Nicholas Uribe's class this year. I think it was this year. And no, I did take, I take that back. I did take his class, but it was unrelated. I did a Zorn palette painting for the first time. And it came out fine. It was not the traditional Zorn palette. I used the modern substitutes because I'm not buying vermilion, whatever. I think it's like vermilion red, and then I think it's actually like real ivory black, not um, you know, not modern day ivory black. For those who don't, for anyone who doesn't know, ivory black originally was made from ivory, hence the name. At least that's my understanding. And today it's made from bone char, so it's essentially bone black. And I won't use bone black either. Well, I won't buy it. I'll use it if someone gifts it to me, like they have paint they're not using, and instead of throwing away, I'll use it, but I won't buy it. But so I either used ivory black that I have because I do have some that someone gifted me, or I used Mars black. I can't remember. Don Lee says, and by this year you mean 2024, of course. Correct. Last year. Good point. I forgot. It's going to happen a lot for a while, you know? Yeah, 2024, not 2025, obviously. Vanessa says ivory, titanium, and perylene red was hard to get out of purple. Oh yeah, I could see that being a problem. So perylene red, I'm not familiar with perylene red, but I looked it up and I guess it's like a scarlet red, so it leans more to the violet and the purple. I could see that being very difficult. Your orange is what, or your ochre, what is it? Yeah, gold ochre, I think it was, is much more orange than yellow ochre. But still, I could see that being a real pain to deal with. I'm trying to think. I uh, I did one of my favorite paintings from last year. I did with like I tried to do. It was kind of weird. I tried to do a limited palette, and I tried to make it a very challenging, weird limited palette. But because I didn't actually have the colors, I had to mix some of the colors. So it ended up being like this weird, like Frankenstein palette, which wasn't entirely really a limited palette. I don't know. It was a weird one. Um, yeah. Vanessa says, if I do it again, lead, Roman black, cad light, and traditional yellow ochre. Okay. I've never heard of Roman black. That one's new to me. It was a oh, Vanessa says her gold ochre was a Spanish gold ochre. Interesting. Yeah, there's so many colors I really want to buy and try. It's just you know, it's definitely like, you know, I don't think that, like, I tell people who are getting into painting that painting doesn't have to be expensive to start and to try and to get into it. And I do really believe that. However, if you want all the paints, which, you know, most artists I know eventually do want all the paints, um, it does get expensive because I want all the paints, you know? What can I say? I want to try them all. Um, Vanessa says less blue, more neutral. I have too much paint. Laughing face. Yeah. I mean, I understand. I do understand. And it is one of those things. The thing too is that that's that's what's stopping me from buying a lot of the paints, because I know what would happen is I would try it, I would enjoy it, and then it would go and sit in a drawer, never to be, never to be used again. Well, not never, but for a long time. And I actually have some paints like that. Like I bought cobalt teal because I thought I was going to use it as a primary, like, as a um, cyan. And I love the color. It's gorgeous, gorgeous color. And I have used it occasionally, but 90% of the time it just sits in my, you know, in my drawer, not doing anything, because while I love it, it is an entirely pointless paint to have on my palette personally. So, 90% of the time I don't use it. What can I say? Uh, who needs food and clothes when you can use paint? Yes, but don't eat your paints. Just remember, motto of the channel, don't eat your paint. Vanessa says, amazing color, not really versatile in mixes. So, correct. It is, it's just, when you have phthalo blue, you don't need, um, you don't need cobalt teal in mixes. The only time you need cobalt teal is if you need literally cobalt teal. Like if you want to just put it on as is, yeah, even phthalo, even my best phthalo mix will not compare to cobalt teal. However, that's only if you're putting it straight out of the tube. And that's my argument for a lot of paints, is a lot of paints are great only if you're using them straight out of the tube. Otherwise, they're not very necessary. Some people paint like that. I don't quite understand it myself, but some people paint like that. Like they just paint, with colors right out of the tube a lot. I almost never do that. So I've always learned with limited palettes. Less limited, when I went to art school, it was a less limited palette than the current one I'm using, but it was still a limited palette. Um, Heather says, "Oh, now you tell me not to eat the paint." I know, Heather. It is the channel motto. For the record, sorry I don't say it every time, but yeah, I know it's the channel motto. Don't eat your paint. I've heard that, you know, I know it's tempting. I mean, I've heard that what is it? Lead white is sweet, but I have you know, still I won't try it. I'll just it'll be a mystery till the day I die, you know? But yeah, don't eat your paints. And then this is for anyone who uses oil paints. I am going off of the information of someone else. There's another painter, Lena Danya. She does YouTube videos, and she has a video where she talks about how she drank her solvent by accident. And so, if you're going to use solvents, make sure that whatever container it's in is not the same type of container that you drink out of. Like she had it in jars, and she, just the kind of jars, like the glass jars that you buy. And she was also drinking out of one, and she put them side by side and accidentally drank her solvent, which was Gamsol. Um, but if you happen to drink your solvent, read the directions before you do anything, because some solvents like Gamsol will tell you not to induce vomiting. Apparently, if I remember correctly, and I'm not taking any responsibility, make sure you read the label. But apparently, it is more dangerous to induce vomiting because you can then get it into your lungs, which is the actual danger. But you can call poison control and read the instructions on the label. Apparently, if I'm not mistaken, Gamsol, basically your body can't really do anything with it. So it supposedly just passes through you. Probably still poisonous. I don't know. There is this. This is how I keep my solvent. No shot I'll ever drink it by accident. It's also currently sealed, but yeah. I am looking forward to trying out. Oh, what is his name? There's a paint manufacturer, Michael Harding. That's it. He recently announced his miracle solvent, or his miracle medium, which replaces solvents with something completely non-toxic. But you can't buy it yet. He just or if you can, it's really hard to purchase. Like, it's not in Jerry's Artorama or Blick or anything like that. Like, it's not easily accessible. Maybe I tried purchasing it on his website and it wasn't available the last time I checked. So, yeah, we'll see how that turns out. A lot of also worth mentioning, since I'm apparently on a rant about materials, worth mentioning that some of those materials that claim to be like non-toxic and stuff like that, some of them are lies, essentially. Like I think it's spike lavender is supposed to be non-toxic, but it's aside from, I've heard the smell being awful, apparently it is it is like a toxic chemical. So I'm totally unclear as to whether or not it is or isn't. Like I said, I've literally, they they advertise it as being non-toxic, but I've heard that it's a neural toxin or something. So I'm a little confused on that. I don't like the smell of lavender that much, so I don't I never was all that interested, but yeah. Um, let's see. And then some of the other ones, like the orange, there's one that's like an orange one, and that too has, they mark it as non-toxic, but that's not entirely true. Um, so yeah, I don't know how they can do those things, but it's, whatever. I messed that up, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Vanessa says it's hard not to judge a bit. I know it happens to many watercolorists and even acrylics, but girl, solvent. Yeah, well, apparently she has a whole video on it, and you can go watch it. Lena Danya is great. I used to watch her videos all the time. I still try and watch her videos. She just doesn't put out as many. Um, but I've liked her stuff. She's a very positive person, and she did a lot of like how to how to paint type of type of videos, which were very useful when I was starting out. So yeah, I like her. And apparently, if I'm not mistaken, she had just put out a like brand new jar, brand new solvent. She'd like just cleaned it out. So it was just, a clear liquid. It doesn't really have much of a smell to it. It's supposed to be odorless. That's it. One of the selling points. And I think she had water, and they were like side by side, same jars, and she wasn't paying attention. If I'm not mistaken, that was the story. But probably never happen again for her. But yeah, not smart. Um, and that's exactly why you don't use jars, and you don't put the two side by side, and so on and so forth. I know I've told this story before, and I'm going to keep telling it because it's one of those stories that just sticks in my mind, and I'm never going to forget it. When I was in art school, there was this older lady. My art school was not a accredited art school, so we had all kinds of people there. It wasn't just like, what's it called? It wasn't just like college students. And she tried to teach me the secret to keeping your round watercolor brush pointy, to really keep its shape and keep it pointy. And she took the brush after she painted with it, and she cleaned it out in water, in the two, one dirty, one clean water. It's not really, but and then she wiped it off on a towel, and then she stuck it in her mouth and pulled it through her lips, with the O sound, O, like, pulling it through her lips to keep it pointy. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. And she's like, it's fine. It's just watercolor. And for the record, it is not fine. Don't do that. Like I said, don't eat your paints. She is essentially eating paint. Just very little, but still, don't eat your paint. I'll never get over that. We Donley says, "Ew, yeah." Well, so my art school was a non-credited art school, and it was a, um, so we got a lot of people there who were in art school who wanted to supplement their art school, um, because it was very like, um, very, our school was very focused on like traditional skills and so on. But there's also a ton of like housewives, retired housewives, in addition to other people. But some of them were, I I don't mean to disparage because they were all well, 99% of them were all very sweet and nice, and I met a lot of really cool people in art school. But some of them were wacky, is how I would describe them. Just which is fine. Like I'm sure people would describe me that way. I think artists tend to be out there. I mean, maybe we wouldn't consider me all that weird in this group right now, people watching, but like if I go talk to I don't know, other people who don't stay up till 5 a.m. painting, and I'm sure I'm looked at as a weirdo, so whatever. But yeah, some of them are wacky. Donnelly says, arm is bugging me a bit today. Trying typing with my non-dominant hand, so I'll be a bit quieter today. Hey, no worries, Donnelly. Sorry to hear that. I hope I hope it what's it called? Gets better. Yeah, my shoulder and arm have been bugging me a bit too lately. I've been using the mall stick a lot more because of that. So take care of yourself, man. Also, if it's an ongoing thing and it's something that you need to deal with, I have this little keyboard mouse combo thing that I bought a while ago. It was very, very cheap. They have all kinds. I'm not saying this is like the best one. And it's Bluetooth, and you can hold it any way you want and use your thumbs to type and stuff like that. So if it's an ongoing issue and that seems like something useful, just thought I'd throw it out there. If not, obviously don't buy it. Yeah. Let's see, what is Heather says that's how the Radium girls lost their jaws. True. Vanessa says just watercolor, cadmium, cobalt, etc. Yes, exactly. All kinds of toxic pigments. Heather also says they call it lip pointing. They called it lip pointing. Yes. Yeah. No, it's literally toxic. It can be toxic. And the thing is, watercolor paints, ironically, so here's the thing. Ironically, watercolor paints, depending on the pigments, can be more toxic than oil paints. And here's why. So everyone's worried about solvents with oil paint. And yes, solvents are an issue for sure. Depending on if you assuming you use them and which ones you use, and if you don't have ventilation. All true. However, the pigments that they use in oil paints and in watercolors and in acrylics and gouache and everything else are all the same pigments. There are variations, to be fair, but just for sake of clarity, they use a lot of the same pigments. A cadmium red is a cadmium pigment, regardless of what medium it's in. But in watercolor, they sorry, my voice is having an issue. 1 second. In watercolor, they have to grind the pigments more finer than they do in other mediums, which can make it more dangerous because, for instance, some paint manufacturers like Gamblin purposefully don't grind their they purposefully don't grind the pigments too fine so that it won't absorb through the skin. But watercolor, a lot of pigments need to be ground even finer, making them more dangerous. Also, if we're talking about, this is why I don't sand old paintings to like reuse canvases and stuff like that. I don't think it's worth it. I don't want to create that dust and then inhale it. No, thank you. I will just, you know, get, I will pay for extra boards or whatever. I'd rather do that. However, there is an artist I follow, I'm friends with, and I'm Babcock, I think it is, although I'm messing up her name. She does sand her paintings very gently in between painting sessions, but I think she does it with oil. So she puts a layer of oil down and then she sands it and then wipes it off, which seems safer than, you know, sanding it with dust. Yeah. The reason she does that is for adhesion. Um, I don't know, you know, I'm on the fence about whether or not that is even necessary. She obviously thinks it is. Um, I don't know. And I don't know that I'll find out anytime soon. It's one of those things where I think it'll take years to decades to find out if any of my paintings will have any kind of adhesion problem. Um, I've never had any. Um, so in my older paintings, my current paintings, which start off, you know, they're all wet into wet, is not an issue at all. But yeah, older paintings, uh, you know, like I don't think it's going to be an issue though, because when I took an art class with Jennifer Balkin, and she never mentioned anything about that. And she, you know, she doesn't have any issues with her paintings. And this was an in-person class. This wasn't a, you know, online class. So she saw exactly what we were doing. So she didn't mention anything. So I don't think it'll be an issue. Unfortunately, with some issues when it comes to painting, is like we'll find out in the future, you know. But uh, and that goes for even like best practices, right? Because some, like, they're finding out now that zinc is an issue, you know, but people were using zinc, you know, zinc white for, and they still do, right? So like it, all these things take, you know, years to to decades to multiple decades to be, you know, till they figure it out and changes are made. And even a lot of times it's not even 100%. It's like, oh, this is an issue that occurs with this particular thing sometimes under the right circumstances, maybe. I mean, people still use alizarin crimson, you know, and they still sell it, make it and sell it, the original. And people also, you know, what's it called? Indian yellow, the traditional one, is still a thing. So yeah. Vanessa says, "Oh no, they know for a while. Now they just don't care." True, so, but I'm saying like some of the things took a long time to find out. Like, but yes, you're right. They just don't care. Also, a lot of artists don't care. Artists will be like, you know, they have the, and to an extent, I actually agree with this. A lot of artists have this attitude towards their paintings where it's like it doesn't matter, right? The paintings don't matter. If they last, it doesn't matter. Like there's a bit of that attitude, and to a degree, I agree with that, because I think when you, I don't want to say devalue your paintings, but when you don't put so much weight on them in that way, and you focus more on just on painting them, and you don't worry so much about, will it last 100 years, will this fade, will this happen or that happen, like I think it's better. However, there are degrees of this, right? If you can easily do something and it doesn't require much, like, okay, fine, I won't use zinc in my, I won't buy any white with zinc in it. Easy peasy, no problems. That required very little from me. Cool. You know, so why not, right? Stuff like that. But it can get exhausting to do all the research all the time and all that. Like, yeah, I get it. But I mean, like I painted on paper before, and you know, there's some debate on whether on like how how good, how archival paper is and so on. Um, I, for the record, primed my paper, so I'm I'm much more confident in it, because even if the paper deteriorates, I think the layer of primer will protect it and so on. But you know, um, and I spent a lot of time researching ABS too. Let's see, Vanessa says not every artists are supply nerds like I am. Yeah, no, I get that. Um, I mean, I was painting on ACM panels. Um, I switched over to ABS for a few reasons. Um, the one of them is the prep that it required um, was far less than than other stuff. The price was also a thing. Like what I could use, the materials I had that I could use to prepare them and cut it and everything. And then from what I looked on, I did some research, and technically it is an untested material for painting. Well, not untested entirely, but less tested. But all the evidence of everything seems to point towards it being a very, very good, uh, substrate. Um, and that, yeah, there's some other artists who use it. They they have since like um, not changed their opinion on it, but they're like unsure because they talked about like plasticizers that are in it. But my I researched it, and no plasticizers, from what I understand, are actually used in pure ABS. So it's a little confusing. Who knows? Let's see. Vanessa says the paper, it will last a long time, and you can mount it too. Yes, absolutely. And like I said, the I primed it, so I don't paint. I tried painting on raw paper. Nicholas Uribe loves it. I can't stand it. I don't know why he does that. He loves it. He loves how dry it is and how much it soaks up the the paint and the oil and everything. I can't stand it. So whatever. All right, now that I took longer than I wanted to sketch this out again, let's start actually painting everything back into place. Well, I've heard all kinds of things about paper that like they don't make paper like they used to, literally, and supposedly it won't last as long as it used to, and so on. But once again, that also depends on the type of paper you're using and so on. So who knows? But whatever. Most of the time, I painted on watercolor paper because it's better. It's stronger. Okay, sorry about that. Also, I finally broke out one of my new one of the ones that new and that I bought, rosemary brushes, one of the larger ones, because I was like, I need a larger brush and I need a more, a better brush than the frayed ones I was using. So yeah. Let's see. Vanessa says if it's acid free and cared properly, it's fine. Might not be in 100 years, but do we really care? Probably not, honestly. The whole like 100-year thing, you know. I know it's like a standard kind of thing, but yeah. Here's the thing. I think if if in 100 years people people care for it that much, then they'll find a way to make it last, you know? And of course, I would hope that in 100 years someone does care, but at the same time, you know, I really can't be overly concerned about that. Having said that, ABS plastic should absolutely be around in 100 years. The panels I'm painting on should be around completely unfazed by the 100 years that just passed, unless they're in like horrible conditions. The ABS is apparently susceptible to some elemental stuff, but it's like UV light. So, if you leave it out in the sun in direct light, for a long time, repeatedly, it will become brittle and like break down and so on. But so will my paint. So I'm not really concerned about that. Because it's like, not a huge concern there. Um, given that the paint itself won't survive nearly as long as the plastic will. And then there's what's it called? There's some other stuff. I think if you submerge it in water for long enough with the right, I guess the right pH balance and so on, like it'll damage it. But once again, so same with the paint and almost every substrate out there. So it's like, we're starting to get it's starting to get an absurd kind of territory. It's like, oh no, it won't survive. It's like, yeah, it won't survive a fire either. Oh no. It'll be funny for some artists are going to start painting on things that are like, you know, they'll survive a fire and they'll survive 100 years and a tornado as well. Like, okay, and no one's really doing that, but I'm just saying, like, we're starting to get into the absurd territory. But yeah, I do like um, I do like painting on ACM panels, and um, I think it was Steve asked me earlier about where I get my ABS panels from, and I said I get them from plastic distributors or sign people who like make signs. They sell materials for that or and displays and stuff like that. Same thing with the ACM panels. That's where I buy them from. Same thing. They sell them in like uh, what is it? 4 by 8 feet panels. Sheets. Um, and ACM panels are great. You can cut them easily. Um, you don't need a ton of special materials to cut them. Uh, you know, they will last 100 years. Uh, they're practically impervious to most like elemental stuff. Like they're great. However, the downside is the cost and the amount of prep work that is required in them. And then personally, the other thing too is that they dent really easily, which I found kind of annoying. Um, but they and the prep time is the other issue. Unless you buy the pre-prepped ones. Um, who sells pre-prepped? Trying to remember who sells the pre-prepped ones. Most of the uh, online stores do, but Artifacts sells really good panels. Um, but they're not cheap, unfortunately. That's the problem. It's a lot cheaper if you buy the panels and make them yourself, but they're not. You're trading cost for labor kind of thing. Um, but unlike the ABS, the what's it called? Unlike ABS, the ACM panels, when you prep them, you still need to like prime them and do stuff to it. So you have to sand it, and then you're going to have to prime it, and then if you want, you can adhere something to it. Because some people like to paint on canvas, and technically speaking, I think adhering canvas to is it is probably like one of the best things to do if for longevity, if that's a big concern. um but that's not something I would do personally. The reason I say that is my understanding is you can actually lift the canvas off of the what's it called? Off of the panel. If you need to restore it, if the panel gets damaged or something. But at the same time, I feel like there's a good chance the canvas will get damaged before. Well, I guess it just depends on the type of damage. Um, the canvas is probably more susceptible to the elements. The panel probably more susceptible to physical damage. So, pick your poison, I guess. Yeah, in that circumstance, I don't know. Maybe I should start buying Kevlar vests and painting uh, on those. I can market them as paintings that could stop a bullet or something. So one of the things that when I've discovered when painting like super high key paintings, and this applies to when doing single tone paintings as well. And for anyone who isn't familiar, single tone paintings are these paintings that literally only have one. The idea is to have one value, so the whole painting is done as a single value. So all you have uh, is the hue and saturation levels to mess with, but that is also limited because you can only push your saturation so far. What's it called? Without it like changing the value. So it's a very, very constrained type of painting. Um, and one thing I learned from doing that is that when it comes to like very restricted paintings like this, sometimes you have to start, like, you have to find ways of, making it work regardless. And one of the things I found is that sometimes you have to like almost start to color code things. So it's like, okay, if it's dark, it's going to be cool. And if it's light, it's going to be warm, or vice versa, depending on the painting. And then there's other elements that you can do to, you know, um, to color code things. The only reason I'm thinking about it is right now is because some of the elements here that are like side by side, they're so close to each other in value and in hue, that I might have to start doing some things like that so that you can tell the difference between them. Don't get me wrong, I'm okay with like, I think it's fine to have some lost edges and things of that nature. But there are some things that I definitely want to be clear, because otherwise the form starts to like fall apart. So I might have to start doing some things like that. That's why I brought it up. This is all the other paintings that I have planned after this one. Well, with an exception of one possible one, but generally, almost all of them that I have planned are much simpler in the composition, because it's just like there's so much stuff in this painting, because there is a background, there are like all those elements there. Um, yeah, it's making it very complicated. I will definitely be making um, creative edits to deal with that, and just some things just won't get in, and that's just how it's going to be. Some things will be unclear or left unfinished, because there's just no way for me to, or let me rephrase that, I don't know how to paint it in a way that makes sense um, under these constraints. Or maybe I should say not make sense, but that will be, you know, understandable to other people and make sense in that way. There's an artist, I'm not going to remember her name because I'm bad with names. I think it's Angela, but I'm not. Wait, wait, my brain's. Maybe it's Angela Sung, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong. She's the organizer, I think, of the Weekend Warrior Painters. Um, it's a painting group in LA, but I think they have chapters in other places. Um, it's a plein air uh, painting group. They also have a website, and they sell classes and all kinds of tutorials, I think, and other stuff. Um, Angela's really, really good. And her plein air paintings are phenomenal. But she also does these high key paintings, but she does it so different than the stuff I do. Like she takes it, she paints very bright, like super, super bright high key paintings. Um, and but they're gorgeous. But yeah, it just goes to show that there's like, there's definitely different ways of approaching the same concept. I do have hmm, I do have some neon colors. I I was thinking about that for the high key paintings. Like, do I want to? introduce this aspect to high key paintings because technically, you know, technically speaking, some of them probably it would probably fit, but I don't think it's really the kind of the route I want to take with it. But I don't know. I'm torn. I also hate those paints. Like I hate painting with them, so there is that. It's never, you know, it's not a great incentive to do that. But yeah, if you see my Keanu Reeves painting that goes by in the scroll, um, that was done with those neon paints. Something I think worth mentioning is that when I'm painting with this kind of palette, one thing that I have to kind of remind myself more than I do with um, other palettes is to like put in the very light colors so that I can actually take advantage of the full range that, while limited, but the full range that I am using. Because usually I leave the lightest lights for the end. Um, and that's fine. Like I'm still going to do that, but it's good to like keep in mind what that actually, what the lightest light actually looks like so that I can take advantage of the range that I do have. Normally it's not so much of a problem because you kind of inherently know what the range is out of, from experience. But here it's so different. Donley says, what's her name again? The high key neon paint artist. I think it's I think it's Angela. Um, check out I can't remember her name though. Look up the I think if you look up the Weekend Warrior painters, I think you'll be able to find her through that. Um, yeah. I wish my memory wasn't as crap as it is, but you know, it is. Vanessa says Weekend Warrior painter is Angela Sung. That there we go. Angela Sung. Ah, thank you, Vanessa. Yeah, she's great. If I'm not mistaken, she's also the person who made Heavy Paint, the drawing program, the drawing app. If I'm not mistaken, that's her app as well. French fries, welcome. How you doing, French fries? French fries says, "Hey, Leod, how's it going? What we painting? I am painting a very high-key painting today. Actually, I need to cover these dark spots are going to be going away eventually. They're too dark. That's how like high-key this whole painting is. Very, very bright painting. But yeah, other than that, it's going okay. Um, like there's a lot of good things going. Only negative thing really is that I am um we'll see how this week goes. I have one painting done for this week already. I'll be doing the video tonight after stream. And this is the second painting, but if you're doing the math, that means that I'm 3 paintings uh yeah, behind. So we'll see. I definitely, made a monumental task for myself and I might not be able to handle it. So we'll see. We'll see. But other than that, doing good. When Troy says awesome, I'll look forward to the video, although don't burn yourself out. We can wait a few days between videos. Quality over quantity. Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. I get where you're coming from, and I think you're right. I just here's how I approach it. I said I'm going to do something, right? So I am going to do everything I can to do it. Now, if I absolutely cannot, then at least I can say I tried and I made the effort. And then I'll regroup and try again. Vanessa says second that one. All right. Thank you all. I appreciate that very much. I will say, I was like, my plan yesterday was like, oh, I'm gonna, bang out this painting real fast and then work on the next one and so on. And to be fair, I actually did the painting, relatively speaking, fast, but I couldn't stop myself. Like there were times where I was like, I need to finish. There were times where I was like, I need to finish this painting, and I started painting, and I noticed something that needed to be, changed or whatever, and I didn't. In my head, I wasn't like, oh, I need to change this, but I don't have the time for it. It was like I just did it. I just did what needed to be done in the painting because when I'm painting, I can't think about the deadline in that fashion. Contra says, "Okay, I can respect that. More content for us. Yes, that. Yes, more content for you too. Absolutely. But yeah, when I'm in the painting, it's I can't really like. I just I can't stop myself from doing the things in the painting that need to be done. Vanessa says it's not like they are quick paintings either. Yeah, they're, I mean, relatively speaking, they're quick when you compare it to like 20-hour paintings. So they're a lot faster than those paintings. But they're not like, 4-hour demos, you know. I'm Don't get me wrong, if I painted it one in 4 hours, I'd be absolutely fine with that. It's just I'm not that fast, or they're too involved to do it that fast. Yeah. I think one of the quickest ones I did was like a 6-hour painting. Vanessa says, yeah, and you need to edit and do a voiceover, etc. It's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But, um, I'm, like I said, I'm like, one of the reasons I wanted to try to do this was because it is a lot of work. And because it's so much work, no one else is doing this right now. Um, the only person that I ever saw do this was, like I said, Nicholas Uribe, because I'm stealing from him the idea, and he did it with Danny. So it was two people, running, doing it at the same time, or not at the same time, but like she was helping him. So yeah. Next week, still life study, 1 hour max by painting. uh, right? Start doing like super simple stuff. No, I can't bring myself to do that. Rest of the time you can do painting for the other week. Yeah, right? Just to catch up. Yeah. But yeah, I knew this was going to be, extreme, and that's kind of the point, right? Because I'm trying, like, I want to stand out. I want people to take notice, because apparently just being a good painter and, today is not enough. So you need to put out content, you need to do stuff. So, and it's not only that though, to be fair. I also, obviously, I love painting, but I also I'm in between jobs at the moment, so I have the time. And I also like the idea of being prolific. Like, I've always wanted to make an art book. And, um, you know, if I do a bunch of paintings of one day, I might actually be able to, do an art book. So, there are other reasons too. But I actually, I say unfortunately because maybe unfortunately might not be the right word, but regardless, I have a friend who wanted a commission from me, because he's a friend from when I lived in LA, and he wanted a commission for a comic book cover. So I'm actually going to be doing that. So I got to start on that uh, as well. Um, so, and that, unfortunately, finances sometimes require stuff like that. So that will, at some point, I'm just going to have to spend the time and do that. And that might, you know, mess up my upload schedule, but, you know. That's what can you do? Actually, speaking of still lifes, I have a 1 second, sorry. I do have an idea for a still life that I do really want to do. Actually, I have a couple. So we'll see. That might be something to do at some point. Um, because yeah, I have a couple ideas of still lives that I want to do. Um, for the comic book cover, I might actually do it on stream. I have to talk to him about it. I would prefer to do it on stream because it's going to be an oil painting anyways. So if I can, I will do the comic book cover on stream. Um, yeah. Life happens. It does. And if I don't, if I don't start selling paintings and I'm looking into possibly doing like what's it called? Like art fairs and stuff like that. But depending on how things happen, I'm also looking for a job at the moment. So, the animation industry has been kind of on hiatus uh with the holidays, but holidays are over, so now things are starting to pick back up. So, we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, if I if I end up getting a job in the near future, it'll definitely mess with my content schedule for sure. And that's just the way it is, unfortunately. But who knows? Who knows what will happen? Okay, you all really can't see the face, but let me zoom in so you can see the face because it's there's not much there, but I love it. 1 second. Like I know there's not a ton there, but I don't know. I like it. I think it's really cool. Oh, I forgot. I didn't even put in the top of the nose yet. It is. Ah, I'm glad. I'm glad you all agree. All right, I'm slightly ruining it, so let's fix that and get it back to where it was. All right, it's going to need some more work, but I'm going to leave it for now, take a break from it and come back to it. How do I like my ivory so far? Do you mean my ivory flat? The brush? Um, if that's what you're referring to, I like it. However, um, it's nice to have a close up like that. Yeah. Yes. Okay, you're referring to the brush. Yeah. It's a really good brush. I really, really like it. However, um, there are definitely times where I would want a softer brush. Um, there are definitely times where I would want a softer brush, and I do have softer brushes, but that would mean using another new brush. Yes. Vanessa says, I find it too stiff for layering. Yeah. Try the clips if you can next time. Let's see. Do I have an eclipse? I have an eclipse. Yes, I have an eclipse. I also have the evergreen. Um, I have an eclipse and I have an evergreen. Yeah. I do think it's going to be the situation where the I do think the ivory is more for starting the painting, and then the eclipse I think is going to be yeah, I think the eclipse is going to be more for finishing. So I might I might open one and start using it. Yeah. I I have been using this brush for a while. It's from Silver, the brand. It's a ruby satin, and I really like it. The only problem is you can probably see, or you can't. Let me see. There you go. It's kind of frayed. Um, yeah. And I don't know if this is my fault, probably my fault, or the brush. It's probably my fault for like not being good at taking care of my brushes. Um, but yeah, this is the silver satin. I really like it. It's a really, really good brush. But it is falling apart. Vanessa says solvent fault. Maybe, I don't know. Like I said, I don't use a ton of solvent anymore. But if I'm not mistaken, I started using this brush before I started using mineral oil. So that might be why. I don't know. Um, yeah. So, um, yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I wouldn't have started using mineral oil, but I some of the artists I talked to at the Portrait Society told me about it, and they've been doing it for a long, long time. So I'm just like, okay, these guys have, you know, long-lasting careers, and the mineral oil isn't giving them any problem. You know, I think I'm safe. But yeah, my evergreen or my ivory, I think it does have like one hair that is kind of like going rogue. Um, I don't know if that's, you know, once again, I don't know if it's because I've been treating it badly. I don't know if it's because I'm using solvents even a little, or maybe it's just it had a single hair that's kind of going rogue a little. If it gets worse, right now it kind of falls in line most of the time, but sometimes it like kind of parts ways. But if it goes out further, I will clip it. I have special scissors that I use for clipping what's it called? Uh, my brushes. For anyone who is curious, there's something called thread scissors, I think it is. It's meant for sewing. They're like very, very pointy, very small, and they're designed to clip, um, sewing thread. But they work really well for clipping, you know, errant hairs off of a brush. So I don't, when I go and put a mark up there, I am essentially testing it to see if it's darker than my darkest dark in the key that I've created for myself. Let's see. Vanessa says a baby nail clip cutter works well too. Good to know. Hey, Ike, welcome. Good evening to you as well. How are you doing? You're doing okay? Good. Glad to hear. Preston, baby boy. Oh, look at you. Yeah? Oh. Tristan says hi to everybody. Hi, baby. What? Oh, he hears the other cats. They're out and about and he wants to go play. I know, baby. I know. You want to go play, but everybody wants to see you because you're so cute. Look at you. Look at you. Okay, go play. Go play. I can't. I can't kidnap him too much if he wants to go run after the other cats. Can't do that to him. Of course, he wants to go run after the cats, but now he's so confused by everything that he's just sitting there trying to figure out what he's doing. He's, I love him, but he's not bright. Dresden, why? Okay, now he runs. Ah, he's so dumb. Since you said it was nice to have a close up, I can do this for a second. Um, and do a close up and kind of scroll through it a bit. There's not much on the sides, it's mostly the center. I tried to have it set up so that it could automatically zoom in while I'm streaming. Um, it was such a hassle to try and get that to work. Um, like I had all kinds of ways of doing it, but what would inevitably happen is I would zoom in on something and then I'd move to another area and forget to pan over. And so I'd be standing here and you'd see in the corner that I'm painting, but on the canvas you wouldn't see anything changing. So eventually I gave up on that. If I could figure out a way where it would track the motion, I would do it, but I can't. I have yet to figure out a way of doing that. The facial tracking that I have on the face cam is designed for faces. It doesn't track just anything. So it won't track my hand or my brush or anything, unfortunately. I mean, there are theoretically some things I could buy or something like that, but uh, and it's also theoretical. It's not, they're not, most of them are designed to track your whole face or your whole body. So, yeah, until, what's it called? It also is hard to justify the expense, just for that type of thing. Track the motion without changing the focus. Yeah. So there there are like software solutions, like the one that is tracking my face, but it yeah, it just the programs just aren't designed to track like the brush, right? Like they're just not designed for that, so they don't. I don't know. They're not set up for it, and so they don't really work. I'm sure there's a way of making them work, but I I have spent hours on it and I couldn't get it to work. So at some point I was just like, I gotta get to painting, you know. Um, so yeah, AI. Yeah, there are there are those what's it called? Trying to think of what there are those cameras that are on gimbals that are designed to track you, you know, the viewer. I mean, not the viewer, you know, the camera operator, whoever. But once again, I think they're designed for people, whole people or faces, not, you know, not someone's hand and a brush. So that is one of the issues. I will say, I've been thinking about doing something, and I guess I can ask here. Um, I was thinking about streaming more, but a little different than I'm currently doing it. These would be, um, I haven't figured out the exact format. It might change, but the thought was um, to have a little less interaction, less, not none, but less interaction with the viewers. So more like focused time while I'm painting. And what I would do is I would probably not have the face cam on either. So instead, I would just have a painting cam. Um, and this would probably be exclusively on Twitch because it would be kind of longer format. Um, like I said, a little less interaction with chat. Not saying none, just a little less, because the idea is to like really focus on painting and then take breaks and interact with people and so on. Uh, French Fry says, yes, I'm here mainly for the vibes. Nice. So I don't know exactly. I have to figure it out. It would probably be on Twitch, and the reason is because YouTube is so good at what's it called, archiving everything, and I don't know that this is necessarily something I want like archived that way. Um, I might do it exclusively on Twitch. I don't know. French Fry says, I don't know, let's try it. I enjoy painting along with you. It's almost like getting together with a friend and sitting down to paint. Yeah, no, I agree. I like that too. The the other added thing I was thinking of doing, and once again, I'm open to, you know, to suggestions on this. I was thinking about um, during the week when I'm painting, I was thinking about um, painting in Discord so that people can come in and hang out. Um, you don't have to be on video, but you know, people could actually talk and like literally, voice chat and talk about things um, if they wanted to. But like I said, I'm a little unsure. I've tried that in the past, but people are busy. During the day, people are at work and so on. So I get it. It's like it doesn't always, fit into people's schedules. Vanessa says, could help me practice my English and pronunciation. Oh, I didn't realize you weren't, I didn't realize English wasn't your first language. You do a great job typing. Because I because I didn't hear you. Wow, you do a fantastic job. Choosing the words and using them. Accents are whatever. Also, I'm pretty okay with accents. Like some people, I don't know, have a hard time with accents. I'm sure there are some accents that I would have a hard time understanding, but um, I don't doubt that there are some, but I'm fairly fairly good about it. I have family from overseas and everything, so I'm fairly okay with it. I write and read and listen a lot, but don't speak much. Okay. Yeah, I can understand that. I should ask. I'm trying to think. I think it's a Scottish or I think it's a Scottish accent. I like it. I just can't always understand it. I think that's one of the really hard ones that have come across. Um, it's one of those things where it's just like this sounds good. I'm not opposed to it, but I am having a hard time understanding what you're saying. And don't get mad at me, internet, but I can't remember if it's Scottish, Irish, or both. Uh, I'm dyslexic and I get things confused. So don't get mad at me. But yeah, I know there's a difference between them. My brain ain't figuring that out right now. Okay, so for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to make all of this dark. Oh yeah, it's a hard one. Both are something It's like level up British. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Texan Southern slang is something too. Yeah. Yeah. Well, when you start getting into slang too, you start getting into a difficult, it starts making it even more complicated. I live in Texas. I'm not originally from Texas, but I live in Austin, Texas at the moment. And I haven't run into too much of that here, though, if I'm being honestly. I don't go out as that often either, but I haven't run into too much of that here. What is it? I think as far as accents go, I think the Boston accent is one that I've never really appreciated very much. We'll phrase it that way. I don't know. It just never gelled with me. Vanessa says, yeah, they're always the worst on TV. I'm assuming she means the Texas Southern one. Yeah. And then she says Boston accent. Yeah, Boston accent. That one never, I don't know. I've yet to hear it in a way that I'm like, oh, this sounds nice. I'm sorry. It's just one of those accents that I find grating to my ears. Let's see. Do you know if it sounds like a Canadian one? It does not sound like a Canadian one. French fry says Australian accent really grinds my gears. I don't know why. There's just something about it. That's interesting. You see, Australian accents don't usually bother me. In fact, I will say most of the time I don't even notice it. It's just sometimes when they say like no, the nor, that thing is like a little weird to me or stands out, but like I find it personally, I find it very mild, but that's just me. Vanessa says, okay, I need to Google Boston accents. It's your ears, not mine. uh, yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, the Australian one I find super mild to the point where I don't even notice it most of the time. But I might just have a bad ear for accents. Like I'm not, there's a good chance I just have a bad ear for it. But yeah, there's a bunch of streamers who I or YouTube channels that I watch, and some of the, some of them are Australian, and it never, I don't know. Like there's a, a YouTube channel, and they tell jokes. It's Yeah Mad. Um, they tell all kinds of jokes, a lot of which are very offensive, by the way. Just FYI, if you go watch it, just know that's the type of humor you're getting. Um, and like never bothers me. Vanessa says, I find it sexy. There's something to it. A lot of people find the Australian accent appealing. I know that. Yeah. French fry says, maybe it's just the foreign exchange students in my high school ruined it for me. I don't know. That could be. That definitely could be. I know a lot of people do find the Australian accent very appealing. You're not the only one, Vanessa. I think New York accents are so interesting because there's a variety of New York accents depending on like the very specific location. And, they like some of them are very grating, some of them are not so grating, some of them it's like on a guy it's fine, but then on a woman I find it more grating and vice versa. It just really just depends. Um, yeah, it's interesting. Definitely need to work on the figure a bit more. I was just trying to get some of the background in there to give it more shape. For anyone who is on Discord, there is I think it's New Masters Academy. I think that's the Discord. Um, if I'm not mistaken, it's open to the public. It's an actual community Discord. Unlike mine at the moment, I haven't decided if I should turn my Discord into a actual community Discord or not. It's a designation in Discord. I haven't figured that out yet. Um, but they have a lot more people in their Discord, and I think they have free stuff that happens and free events, but also they do have channels that you can, like voice channels that you can hop into and hang out. Some of them are like um, literally like quiet study channels, if that's something you're into. Um, if my Discord ever gets large enough, I will absolutely do something like that if it's something people are interested in. But at the moment, literally, like there's not enough people to warrant it, unless you want to hang out by yourself most of the time. But yeah, and I'm mentioning it just because we talked about something kind of similar, and it reminded me like some people. I have ADHD. A lot of creative people do, and some people really like body doubling and stuff like that. So yeah, just thought I'd mention it. For me, it's not. I usually prefer to talk with people if I'm going to be in a voice call, but you know, to definitely to each their own. Let's see. Vanessa says, I think once I get a better footing with portraits, I will try that. But on the dark side, um, what you mean hanging out in the Discord? I might have missed something there. To be clear, the ones where they at the what's it called? Um, on their Discord, it's not on video or anything. You're just literally sitting in an open call. You can type in the chat, in the what's it called? In the call chat, but that's it. You can't interact in any other way. Like I said, it's not for me. I don't quite get that, but you know, some people might like it. No, a portrait in low key. Okay, I misunderstood. Low key, low key portraits are tough. I find I think I find low key actually harder than high key personally. I think so. Although technically, I think low key is actually I think it's actually easier. I just for some reason I find it harder. I've done some low key paintings, not a ton, but I've done some. I can show you one in a minute. It's technically not finished because I because I'll probably never finish it. No, I did it on stream, and I always intended to do some like final touches on it. And then, of course, I was so busy and never got around to it, which happens, unfortunately, more than I'd like it to. But yeah, Des gives me a hard time about that quite often. It's funny. Um, but yeah, in just a minute, I'll stop and I'll show you. So the reason, because I'm recording and I'm setting my camera to record, I it makes it easier for me if files are like grouped up together sometimes. So if I like just started recording, I don't want to stop, and so on. That's why. But yeah, I will say any like extreme, anything that's like out of the norm, will be more difficult the first time around, or first numerous times around. So, and that's to be expected. Anytime you're pushing yourself, you're trying something new, you're stepping out of comfort zones and so on, that's to be expected. So, one thing that is helpful, for anyone who is trying to push a new style, a new, you know, uh, any kind of element that is not something that you're very comfortable with. One thing that can be very helpful is find an artist that you like that does that particular thing, and then what you do is you find a reference or you make a reference that's very similar to what they do, and then you do a quick study of their painting, and then you do a quick painting. And by quick, I mean like an hour, something like that, like really a quick painting. And then you do a paint your own painting that's similar to theirs, and you try to do it in their style. And you probably will get closer to their style than you would normally. Probably, not guaranteed, but probably. But then next time you go to do a painting, you probably won't be nearly as successful as that one was at doing that. But you'll still get there a lot faster than if you just didn't do that at all. I hope those instructions were clear. If not, let me know and I will try to clarify. Yes, they were. All right, awesome. Yeah, I found that I did not come up with this concept. I got this from Chelsea Lang, who's a fantastic painter and has fantastic videos on YouTube. Um, but yeah, I don't know where she got that from. I'm guessing she didn't come up with it, but I could be wrong. Maybe she did. I'm not trying to take credit away from her. Um, but yeah, it's a very helpful, you know, way of practicing and studying. Alrighty. I do think I'm probably going to be calling the stream, ending stream soon. I can feel the fatigue setting in, and I think I need to take a break and eat and just, um, yeah, just take a short break. Um, I know I could technically take breaks on stream, but, you know, I don't know. Like very short breaks I'm comfortable with, but like a half-hour break, I feel weird about taking a half-hour break on stream. And I do also need to do some stuff on the computer that will prevent me from streaming. So yeah, I'm probably gonna end stream in a little bit. Just FYI. Um, I'll do a zoom in before I do, so you all can see where it's at uh, with some detail. Yeah, the evergreen, they're so um no, not the evergreen, the ivory, sorry, the ivory. They're so stiff that they can literally like when I'm trying to layer, they can take the paint almost off entirely to the point where it's like down to the you can start seeing the substrate peeking through. I'm not a fan of that. I mean, sometimes that's a very useful tool, but not at this stage most of the time. I think it's just I mean, yeah, I think the bristles are stiff, but I think it might also be that they're just thicker. Maybe I'm wrong, but I get the impression that the bristles are just physically thicker. But maybe that's why they're stiffer. I don't know. I should try um the other ones that I have. That is way too dark. Let's see. Vanessa says, since you really like uh, ruby satin, you might prefer the Shiraz if you have that. Eclipse are a bit softer with less snap. I don't. I have the clips and I have the evergreens and the ivory. Eclipse it is then. Yep. The is the Shiraz, is that a natural hairbrush? Because when I looked, I didn't see it, but it might have been. I bought the brushes from a reseller, not from the company directly, because of shipping. There's local resellers, so I ended up buying from a local reseller. Local meaning in like in America, not actually. I think they're in Texas, um, but yeah, um, the shipping, takes a already expensive product and just like, uh, yeah. It's synthetic, mostly for acrylics, but they are very similar to silver ruby satin. Okay, interesting. I might have just not had it then at the time, or maybe because it's mostly for acrylics, they didn't, I don't know. Or I just missed it. That could happen too. This says, yeah, shipping is crazy. Will not order again from Europe uh, from anytime soon. Yeah. Yeah, that unfortunately, you know, that's why, like I said, that's why I bought from a reseller here. Um, so we'll see. I don't know. Um, you know, um, yeah, we'll see. I'll use the clips and everything and see how I feel about things. I I do want to try Trakel at some point. I know they're a really good brand. Hey, William, welcome. William Graff says, hey, thanks for demonstrating. I have a question. Do you use Damar retouch varnish? And if you do, have you had a problem finding it? I do not use Damar retouch varnish. Uh, I do use a retouch varnish when my paintings are done because I don't do the like, I don't wait like 6 months to varnish it. So I use Gamvar, which is technically, I think, a retouch varnish, if I'm not mistaken. And you can apply it as soon as it's dry. But I do not use Damar varnish. My understanding is in order to use, I'm not an expert on Damar varnish, but my understanding is in order to use Damar varnish, you need strong solvent, because Damar varnish requires that, to the point that, if I'm not mistaken, Gamsol is not strong enough for Damar varnish. I could be wrong about that, but I'm fairly confident. And I don't use varnish in my painting process. Sometimes I use it a little, but it's mostly out of like being lazy, because I forgot to put my paints away and they're starting to set a little, so I'll use a little bit of Gamsol to like loosen them up. But yeah, no, I don't. Vanessa says, yes, Damar needs turpentine. And William says, oh, this is a spray. This is the spray. No, I don't use it. I just use Gamvar for varnishing. I've tried spray varnishes before. My girlfriend Michelle, she runs her own business called Four Letter Word Cards, and she sells like greeting cards and coffee mugs and stuff like that online that she makes. But she also has oh, what's the word I'm looking for? She does do some prints and stuff like that. And because she's printing them, they need to be sealed. And so I've used spray. They're not varnishes, but I've used spray. I don't know what the word for them is. They're just like sprays to seal the to seal the prints. And I am not a fan of those. The smell and everything, I'm not a huge fan of those. I don't think I could even do them inside. I usually go outside for that. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing wrong necessarily. I'm just saying, like, those are the reasons why I generally, like, I tend to avoid stuff like that, is for those reasons. Why do you like it? I'm curious. Is there a particular function that it serves that you like it? Is it just easy? Don't get me wrong, easy is, also a good reason to do things. I do a lot of things for those reasons, but I'm just curious. You only use it when you work on a painting that needs to be refreshed? Okay. You mean like you leave it for a while and then you come back and you need to see the colors better? Like it's sunken? Um, when I come back to a dry painting that I need to work on it, if it has sunken, I just use I just oil out. I generally like oleo gel for that, but you can use regular oil too instead of oiling out the painting. Got it, got it. Dull areas, yeah. I will say, I don't personally, my paint doesn't sink much. I'm not saying it never sinks, but it doesn't usually sink much. And I'm pretty sure that's because I don't use solvent in my painting. I paint on non-absorbent surfaces, and I don't use a lot earth tones in my painting. So except for Mars Black, which is technically an earth tone. Technically, it can sink a little sometimes, but yeah. It doesn't do it too much. However, I do prefer to work on wet paintings, so I do oil out. Vanessa says, sink a lot less than umber, though. Yes, Mars Black does sink a lot less than umber. And also, it's worth mentioning, I have heard that Mars Black is very dull and grainy. Um, I use um, M-gram Mars Black, and I have not found M-gram Mars Black to be dull or grainy. Um, so the only reason I don't usually, I'm not like what's it called? I don't promote one brand over another really. Um, I've never used another Mars Black, so I can't really speak to it. But M-gram's Mars Black is very smooth, very uh, you know, shiny, or I would say to just as shiny as any other black I've used. So, William asks, do I do oil out the paintings as well? But just before I sell a painting, I like to use the spray Demar retouch varnish to give it the an even finish. Okay, I use like I said, I use Gamvar for that. I just yeah, same thing. I just use Gamvar. Okay, I think I messed this up, so let's fix this. That is way too dark. I will fix that too. Okay. Is that a spray? No, it's not. It is not a spray. Oh, all right. Here, I'll show you. Um, I like the gloss, but everyone's different. Um, yeah, that's all it is. Um, I put a little in a container, and then I just use. I actually use this. Um, just the foam thing. The funny thing is, this gets hard, but once when it dries, but once you what's it called? Once you put more varnish on it, it softens it up. Hey, I got rated on Twitch by Jomsy. Hey, Jomsy, good to see you. Jomsy says, I am tired. These lovelies are your problem now. Hey, welcome, Raiders. Hey, what were you up to today, Jomsy? I'm curious. Well, I'm also going to take this time to show Vanessa this painting because she talked about a low-key painting, and this is one that I haven't finished yet, although, we'll see if I ever do. But yeah, I need to dust it and varnish. This one is not varnished, so once it's varnished, it'll look a little bit better, but yeah. This was a low-key painting I did on stream a while ago. Jomsy says, we had a nice lazy Sunday afternoon in the studio. I tracked some bass and finished, I tracked some bass and finished up mix for a buddy's song and then wrote a new one on my own. Awesome. Jomsy says, oh man, I perpetually love your color palette. Thanks so much. I appreciate that. Jomsy is a streamer on Twitch. He does a variety of things, mostly musically involved. He has a fantastic voice and does sing and also does do some story time stuff. Let me get your Twitch name so I can share it. The link, I mean. Let me grab that. I'm going to share it on YouTube as well so everyone will know. But yeah, check out Jomsy if that sounds interesting. If those are the type of things you like. He's awesome. He's been a friend for quite a while and helped me out when I needed some advice on some things and so on. Yeah. Jomsy says the YouTube peeps can also find my channel if they look up Jomsy. Lots of covers and such on there. Nice. Oh, on YouTube. Awesome. I didn't realize. I don't know why I didn't realize that, Jomsy, but yeah. Let me copy paste that too. Yeah. Yeah, so today I'm working on a high key painting, very high key. So you can see the painting is, you know, very, very light. And that's, you know, the whole idea. But yeah, so that's what I'm working on today. I'm actually coming to the end of my stream. I feel really bad that you rated me right now because I was just about to end stream. Looks cool. Thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah. This is actually not darker. The camera just has a bit of a fall off on the light there. But yeah, that's the idea. And then I'm going to be turning this into a YouTube video. So I've been doing YouTube videos lately, and I'm trying to keep pace. I'm probably going to fail, but in keeping the pace, I mean. But this is the first one of this coming week. Yeah. So sneak peek to you all. This is what I did yesterday, and then this is what I'm working on now. And then yeah, I got to put the video together and everything. All good. We will make your raid mightier if that's a thing you want to do. I can't figure out how to raid. I'm not sure I can figure out how to raid is the issue. Let me see. The problem is I'm streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and I normally don't raid, but I will try today because you raided me, and I think it'd be nice to return the favor to someone. Oh yeah, the YouTube thing. Yeah, yeah. All right, let me see. I can raid from here. Okay. Wait. Um, what? Um, okay, hold on. Yeah, I don't know. It's giving me a hard time, and I don't know who's live at the moment. All right. One more second, I'll try, and then if not, I'll call it a day. Um, because yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I think I'm having. I'm having too much trouble with it at the moment. I'm sorry. I should figure this out, but I don't know. It's giving me a hard time. So I'm sorry. I'll figure it out another time. I apologize, Raiders, for not taking you on another adventure. Thank you all for stopping by, Jumpsy. I'd really appreciate it. To the Raiders, yeah, I am streaming on YouTube and at Twitch at the same time, and it's a little complicated for me. I also don't have notifications on, so if anybody follows or anything, I'll only see it later. But thank you, everybody who does. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone who stopped by the stream. I do appreciate it. Some people have been talking with me over on Twitch and YouTube, and that's been awesome. I appreciate it. More videos coming out this week, and I have a Discord if you're into art, and social media and all that stuff. Yeah, that's all I got. I'm also getting very tired. French Fry says, see you later. Heather says, sneak peek. Yeah. Vanessa says, have a good evening. Looking forward to seeing your video this week. Nice. Yeah. Jump says, we appreciate you. Thanks for giving me a great place to land. Oh, absolutely, Jumpsy. And thank you so much for the raid, like I said. And yeah, Jumpsy's a great guy. I highly recommend him. If you like music, if you like singing, if you like story time with a great voice, he's great. I highly recommend him. Heather says, enjoy your night, Leah. Loving this painting. Thank you so much. William says, great job. Leah, let's go. Yes. Yeah, and everyone new, like I said, like, subscribe, do all the YouTube-y stuff. You know what I'm talking about. Anyways, and have a great rest of your weekend, of what's left of it. And yeah, I don't know. Bye.